Hello and welcome to the Rum Revival. My name is Arminder, and in this video I'm covering all of the notable new rum releases from the last 2 months. Now these rums might not be available everywhere in the US, but they are available somewhere in the US. And let's actually start off at the end with the final release in Foursquare's Exceptional Cask Selection series. This is their 31st release in that series. This is Epilogue. Now as always, it's a pot and column still blend. This one is aged 19 years in ex-bourbon. We didn't quite get 20, but I guess that's okay. This is bottled at 57% ABV and priced, frankly, I've seen it like all over the place. It's priced anywhere between like $149.99 to $189.99. It's a pretty big range there, honestly. Also, I could be wrong here, but the previous release in the series was called Penultimus, meaning second to last. And this one is called Epilogue, but I always kind of thought that the epilogue was something that came after the end, right? So I kind of feel like there's something that should have been in between those two releases. You know what I mean? Like a secret 30.5 mark release, I don't know, titled Ultimus or something. I don't know. Hey, you know what? Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna start the rumor right now that there is actually a secret release in between Penultimus and Epilogue. And if you know, then I guess you know. Am I sad to see the series go? Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, all the rums that they put out, I thought were great, right? No doubt about that. But I think I kind of lost interest over the years. Now, part of that was I just think there were maybe too many releases coming out. Like I turn around and suddenly there were like 2 or 3 new ones. So it never felt like I was excited about any one particular release because, you know, there's always a new one coming around the corner, right? Now, maybe if it was, I don't know, like an annual thing, maybe I'd be much more excited for any one given release. But regardless, I know there's, you know, tons of fans out there of this series, so I'm bummed for them for sure. But I am excited to see what Foursquare does next. Now let's stay in Barbados and cover the 2 newest releases from Mount Gay. Now what's exciting here is that both of these new rums have clear age statements, which is always awesome, right? We have a 15-year and the 25-year. Here's the thing though, they're not actually called the 15-year and the 25-year. Why would you do that when you can call them the exceptionally aged 15-year and the exceptionally aged 25-year? I'm not even kidding. Now, originally I thought that these were new additions to the year-round core range. Instead, both are part of the exceptionally aged collection, so I guess like no surprises there given the name. These are limited releases with just under 5,000 bottles of the 15-year and under 2,400 for the 25-year. I imagine those will last for a very long time given the ABV and the price point. Both are column still rums, aged in ex-bourbon. The 15-year is 43% ABV, priced at $100, and the 25-year is a not bad 47% ABV, priced at $225. Now, look, when I first saw the news on these releases, and particularly when I saw the 15-year, my mind immediately went to the other 15-year from the other big rum brand that's also 43% ABV, and of course I'm talking about Appleton 15, right? And right around where I live, I can get that rum anywhere between like $65 to like $72 year round, right? And that's also got some pot still rum that this Mount Gay 15-year doesn't, right? So what's going on, Mount Gay? Like, what's up, baby? Like, what's up with that $100 price point? Who hurt you, or under what delusion do you live that you think that is a good idea? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm being insensitive to the premiumization of rum. I know some people feel very strongly about that. Look, I'm just a humble man of the people here, so I'm always going to advocate for a little more reason when it comes to pricing. And this one doesn't make sense given that I can get that Appleton 15, unless of course Appleton raises their prices, which is entirely possible given how the world is working. So who knows? Feeling kind of sassy. Now next up from Venezuela is the latest in Santa Teresa's 1796 cask finish series. It's the Teeling whiskey cask finish. Now previously in the series they've done a coffee cask finish, a cacao cask, Speyside whiskey, and now it's Irish whiskey's turn. Now, like with the other finishes, Santa Teresa takes their 1796, which is a molasses-based pot column blend that's been aged through a Solera system. It does go through like some normal ex-bourbon barrel aging as well, but they take that rum and then finish it, in this case, for 10 months in a Teeling Irish whiskey cask. Now, if you're not familiar, Teeling is a fairly newish Irish distillery. I think they've been around since 2015. And they are owned by Bacardi. Now, what's notable here is that these tend to have a jump up in ABV from the 1796's standard 40% to around 40 to 46% ABV. And look, that is cool and all for sure, and more than welcome. But I will say what I always say when one of these cask finishes are released: can you just give us the base standard 1796 in a higher proof? That's all we're asking for, Teresa. Well, maybe it's just me asking for it, but I promise I'll buy like at least 2. Think about it, Teresa. Now, next up is an existing rum that's only now just hitting the US market from Martinique. It's Clement VO. This is a rum agricole aged 3 years in toasted ex-bourbon barrels and new American oak casks. Now, what immediately stood out to me when I saw this was the label and the bottle shape, which is part of a rebranding for Clement. And thank God, because it's about time. I swear at some point, like maybe 2 years ago in some random video, I left a comment saying like, I really do think it's time for Clement to rebrand. And they finally did it, proving that brands do actually listen to what I have to say. It just kind of takes them a couple of years to get around to it. Meaning, we'll get that higher proof version of Santa Teresa 1796 in about like, I don't know, late 2027. Mark my words, rumor started. Anyways, I'm absolutely loving the silhouette of this bottle and expect to see Clement's VSOP, XO, and the 10-year Grand Reserve also in this new branding and presumably also in this new bottle shape. No word though if their Blancs are kind of getting that upgrade or not. So next from bottler Mainland Rum is their Minnesota Still Strength White Rum. This is their first unaged offering. It's made at Black Frost Distilling. They're based out of New Ulm, Minnesota. This is made from molasses and dunder, which that's exciting. It goes through a 2-week open fermentation. That's exciting. Using the S. Pombe yeast strain. That's exciting. S. Pombe, the strain can kind of really help give a rum some like strong tropical fruit aromas and kind of a heavier mouthfeel. It's a pretty fun kind of yeast when it comes to making spirits. Now, the rum is distilled on a copper column still. It's distilled to 62.5% ABV and it's bottled at that ABV. Now, given the fruitiness and the ABV and the price point, this is kind of, I think, designed to go up against like Money Musk Overproof and Wray and Nephew. Now, I have heard some positive things about this, and I actually have somewhere here, I'm sitting on 2 small samples. I'll probably try one neat, and the other I'll use to make a cocktail with. Now, question is, what cocktail should I make? And, you know, don't say daiquiri, right? Like, what should I do? A Negroni? A mojito? What do you think? Next up, we have 4 rums from Burdekin, a Australian brand and distillery. I believe it's their first time that their rums are available here in the US. They're based out of the North Queensland region. That was almost tough to say, kind of was. North Queensland region of Australia, where most of the country's sugarcane production takes place. Now, Burdekin has been making rum since 2022, and they make most of their rum from cane juice, but they do have one that's made from molasses, and they distill on a pot and column hybrid still. Now, first up is their virgin cane rum, which is made from cane juice and bottled at 40% ABV. Now, if you're looking for an unaged cane juice rum that's beefier than 40% ABV, then check out Burdekin's Distiller's Edition Second Juru rum. This is bottled at what they call Coral Sea Strength, which is 54.5% ABV. That's cute. This rum was made from the 2024 harvest, and a total of 600 bottles were produced. Now, in terms of aged rums, we first got the vintage rum. This is a cane juice rum aged up to 2 years in Pedro Jimenez sherry casks and bottled at 40% ABV. And lastly, there's the premium aged rum. This one's made from molasses and aged a minimum of 2 years in ex-bourbon. Now, so far, I've only seen these rums at K&L here in California and online at passionspirits.com. I haven't tried them yet, but I gotta say, I do love the branding. Very colorful. Okay, so that was the first half of the show or the episode. We're on to the second half, and this is the part of of these new releases videos where I go through a whole lot of single cast releases from a bunch of independent bottlers. This is always the most dense part of these videos because they've got a lot of minutia and there's a lot of them. So given for my own sanity and for your own, I'm not going to do a deep dive on each and every one of these. I'm going to try to move fairly quickly. Now, all of them have been imported by our friends over at Raising Glasses. We've got rums from independent bottlers Bedford Park, Nobilis, and Colors of Rum. Let's start off with Bedford Park and their Jamaican rums. They have a trio of single cask rums from New Yarmouth. This is the Jamaican distillery owned by Ray Nephew that is not Appleton Estate. So first is their New Yarmouth 2019 5-year. This has been aged 5 years in Europe in an ex-bourbon barrel. It's the HM mark, a fairly high ester mark from New Yarmouth, making it somewhere around like I think 500 to 700 grams per hectoliter of pure alcohol, if that means anything to you. I'm feeling really weird today. Then there's the New Yarmouth 2009 15-year. This is the same HM mark as the first one. It's aged a total of 15 years, and I think around 3 of those years were in Jamaica, and then the remainder in Europe in an ex-bourbon barrel. And the last New Yarmouth release is the 2008 16-year rum that was aged in a first fill Madeira hogshead cask. Super intrigued by this one, given the fact that it's all Madeira aging all the time. Then there's the Worthy Park 2015. This is WPM, or Worthy Park Medium Mark, that's been aged 9 years in ex-bourbon, all in Europe. Then we have 2 rums from Barbados. The first is the Foursquare 2009 15-year. Now, around the first 9 years of it was aged in Barbados, and then the remainder in Europe. Europe is a pretty big place. I don't have anything more specific. Could be Amsterdam, could be the UK. I don't know all the differences between all the different parts of the UK and what is the UK versus what is not UK. You know, that little area right there, whatever that is. Yeah. And the second rum from Barbados is the Barbados 2001 24-year. Now, what's exciting about this one is that it's from Mount Gay, and we don't usually get independent bottlings of their rums, right? So this is a pot still rum on top of that. It's aged 5 years from Barbados and the rest somewhere in Europe. It is only 49.4% ABV, but considering the ABV of their core stuff, happily take it. Then there is the Reunion 2019 5-year. This is a molasses-based pot still rum made at Savannah. It's specifically their HERR, or HERR mark, which goes through a long fermentation leading to a pretty funky old rum. Then we've got the Bellevue 2016 8-year. It's made in Guadeloupe by Distillery Bellevue. It's a column distilled cane juice rum aged 8 years in ex-bourbon. And then another exciting one is the St. Lucia 2004 21-year. It's made by St. Lucia distillers on their Vendome pot still. It's aged 2 years in St. Lucia, and then the remainder in the UK. Again, like with the Mount Gay, getting an independent bottling of a St. Lucia single cask is kind of a bit of a rarity nowadays, so this is one to be excited about and one to keep your eye out for. And then we have the Fiji 2012 13-year. This is a pot still rum made at South Pacific Distillers, or whatever their new name is. Now, most of the 13 years of aging on this rum was in the UK. And lastly, from Bedford Park, we have the Diamond High Ester PM/DHE 2014 10-year. It's a blend of 2 marks, the Port Morant and the Diamond High Ester mark. And if this sounds familiar, it should. Diamond Distillery, of course, has already released their own El Dorado High Ester Blend PM/DHE. They released it sometime last year. This one, like that one, was distilled in 2014, and this one, like that one, is aged 10 years. So what I'm kind of wondering is if this rum or that rum, or both of those rums, are essentially the same. Like they started off from the same kind of batch of distillate, and then the El Dorado one stayed in Guyana, and then this cask went over to Europe. Like what that story is, that's very interesting to me. I also want to try them side by side because one is fully tropically aged, and the other one is some or all continentally aged. I'd love to kind of see what that does to that blend of 2 marks. Now, before I move on from Bedford Park, Ryan from Superlative Spirits, who's a distributor here in California, he was kind enough to send me like 8 or 9 samples of these rums, and I will be covering my overall impressions on them the next time I do my What Have I Been Sipping On video. But if you wanted more kind of in-depth kind of tasting notes and details on each one of those rums as I try them, then I have videos exclusive to Patreon. So if you're intrigued, sign up for my Patreon and check all that stuff out. Gotta plug my shit. All right, so the next independent bottler is Nobilis. They are a Danish independent bottler. First up, we have 2 rums from Diamond Distillery out in Guyana. This is the Guyana Diamond 11-year. Now, this is the REV mark off of the Versailles single wooden pot still, and that mark, the REV, is different from the VSG mark, which also comes off the Versailles still. Now, my understanding is that the major difference is that the REV mark for that Diamond Distillery, what they do is they add in caramel coloring, their own caramel coloring, into the cask along with the distillate, so they kind of both age at the same time or combined. Yeah, as opposed to, I guess, adding caramel coloring after it's been aged. So yeah. And then we have the Guyana Diamond 26-year. This is the SWR mark, distilled on their Blair column still. It's aged 2 years in Guyana and 24 years in the UK. All right, from Jamaica, we have the Clarendon 2004 19 year. This is a pot still rum, specifically the MMW mark from Clarendon. It's aged 14 years in Jamaica and then the remaining 5 in the UK. And then from Trinidad, we have the Trinidad Distillers Limited 2010 15 year. This is a heavy calm still rum, aged 14 years in Trinidad and then 1 year in Europe. Then we have another rum from Trinidad Distillers Limited. This is the Fernandez 1999 24 year, also a heavy calm still rum. It's listed as the Forest Park Heavy Mark. Forest Park Heavy Mark, like that. Then next up from Guadeloupe, we have the Montebello Brut de Cologne. Sorry for butchering that, my French friends. It's made by Distillery Montebello, which has been making rums since 1930. It's a calm distilled cane juice rum made with the red cane varietal, which grows in volcanic soil. It's bottled at a whopping 82.8% ABV. Wow. Then there's also from Guadeloupe, from Montebello, a Montebello 3 year. This takes the Montebello unaged rum and ages it 3 years in an ex-Caroni cask. That's exciting. The ABV just drops slightly. It goes down by 0.5% to 82.3% ABV. And the call out here is that this rum is only $3 more than the previous unaged Montebello. Not sure what that is all about, but this seems like a pretty good deal. Unless the unaged version is overpriced, in which case that one is not a good deal. I don't know. Who's to say? I mean, there are people who know, and I just have not asked them. Now, the last Nobilis is actually a rum bottled by them, but under the Raising Glasses brand. It's the Papilio Hamden 6 year. It's made at Hamden Estate in Jamaica. It's the C Diamond H mark, which is the second highest mark in terms of esters. It's made from molasses, dunder, cane vinegar, muck. It's wild fermented, pot distilled, all that good stuff. Oh, and it's worth calling out here that this is actually not bottled in the standard Raising Glasses 375 milliliter bottlings. It's actually bottled a little higher, a little bigger at 500 milliliters. So it just makes it a little better of a deal if you ask me. Okay, so lastly, we've got independent bottler Colors of Rum from Poland. I was about to say Portland for a second, but no, they're from Poland. They have like around 13 or 14 single cask releases. It's a lot of them. We're going to start off with 4 from Guyana. Now, the first rum is the Guyana number 6, Iflot 1997 24 year. This is made on the Port Morant double wooden pot still, while that still was actually still at the Iflot distillery, because that distillery closed in 2000, and then the Port Morant still moved to Diamond Distillery, where it currently lives, or I guess resides. I mean, whatever an inanimate object does, whether it lives or resides, that's what it's doing. It's doing it at Diamond Distillery. Now, the rum was aged 2 years in Guyana in an ex-bourbon barrel, and then 21 years in somewhere in Europe in an ex-cognac cask. Ooh, fancy. Then next up is the Guyana number 7, Iflot 1991 30 year. It's also made on the Port Morant still over at Iflot Distillery. It was aged 10 years in ex-bourbon, 19 years in ex-French oak, and apparently I think it was all continentally aged. Also, my math on that doesn't check out. 10 years and then 19 is only 29. This has 30. I lost a year. They miscounted. I don't know. Then we've got the Guyana number 8, Enmore 1993 29 year. Now, as the name implies, it's distilled on the Enmore wooden coffee column still, but it's also worth noting that it's also worth noting that it was distilled at the now defunct Enmore Distillery. That closed around 94, and the Enmore still then made its way to Iflot Distillery before eventually making its way to its current home at Diamond Distillery, where it currently lives or resides. Then we have another rum distilled at Enmore Estate. It's the Guyana number 9, Enmore, 1994, 29 year. I kind of feel like I'm just throwing out numbers and words in random order, but there's a method to this madness, I promise. This one was produced on the Versailles Sigil wooden pot still before it was also moved over to Iflot and then also moved over eventually to Diamond. Now, like the Nobilis Guyana 11 year that I mentioned earlier, this is the REV mark, meaning that caramel coloring was added into the cask with the distillate to then age. Now, moving on from Guyana, we have 4 rums from Jamaica. First is the Jamaica number 3 Clarendon EMB 1996 25 year. This is the EMB mark made at the Clarendon Distillery. I think I kind of just already said that, and I'm just rephrasing that a little bit in a different way, but it's aged 22 years in Jamaica, and then the final 3 in Europe. Then we've got the Jamaica number 6 Hamden 1998 23 year. It's the good old HLCF mark, aged all 23 years in Europe in an ex-rum barrel or cask. There is apparently a difference. A barrel is a type of cask. A barrel is a very specific measurement or holds a very specific amount. Yeah. What is going on with me? I think it's the coffee I just drank before this. And then there is the Jamaica number 7, Hamden, 1998, 23 year. It seems pretty similar to the previous one I just talked about. HLCF, aged 23 years in Europe, with a slightly lower ABV and a slightly lower price. Then there's the Jamaica number 13, Clarendon, 1997, 24 year. This is the MMW mark from Clarendon Distillery, aged 24 years in an ex-rum cask. I don't know what this is, but I kind of really like doing it. Moving on, there's the Guadeloupe number 1, Montebello, 1998, 23 years. This is a calm, still cane juice rum, aged 23 years in an ex-rum cask, I think all in Europe. Then we have 2 rums from Foursquare in Barbados. The first is the Barbados number 13, Foursquare, 1999, 22 year. Now 8 of those years were in Barbados, the rest somewhere in Europe. And then, my friends, there's the Barbados number 19, Foursquare, 2002, 20 year. Now what's notable here is that it is an all pot still rum. Because here's the thing, most of Foursquare's branded stuff and most of the independent bottlings of Foursquare stuff, they're all usually pot and column blends. So if you ever wanted to experience a pure Foursquare pot still rum experience, this is one of the few ways of doing that without having to go to like secondary markets and all that. And lastly, and I actually do mean this is the last 2 rums here now for the video. Lastly, we have 2 Trinidad single casks from the defunct Caroni distillery. We have the Trinidad number 3 and the number 4, Caroni, 1998, 24 year. Now both are calm still rums with 11 years of tropical aging in an ex-bourbon barrel and then 13 years of continental aging in an ex-whiskey cask. They seem to be pretty identical in terms of stats, at least from what I could tell. So I guess just pick the color that you like the most. You know, pick the color that you think is the prettiest. Okay, there we go. We're at the end, folks. That video had like over 40 new rum releases. Whew, I'm curious, are you planning on buying any one of these? Do you already have some of them? Let me know by leaving a comment down below. And of course, if you want to support this channel, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you want to further support what I do here, then check out my Patreon page, exclusive videos, Discord server. You get access to the monthly online Zoom happy hour if you sign up to certain tiers. And yeah, again, thank you so much for watching and supporting me. And I will catch you in the next one. Cheers.